What up? We're back with another reaction video from Nathendo 145. Again, my reaction videos in the beginning will only be reacting to my own videos. And we are going to be reacting to a video that I really enjoyed making. It's basically the speed test, I guess. Not really a speed test, but it's just PS3 vs Xbox 360 versus Nintendo DS versus Nintendo Wii versus Nintendo 3DS. So, those are my top 5 favorite video game consoles, and we're going to be reacting to the video that I made that is basically speed testing and seeing what all of them are. And at some point, I'm actually hoping to make a documentary, or not really a documentary, but just like a video about how those consoles are, their amount of gigahertz, their amount of RAM and storage, and everything else. But I'm not gonna do that. I don't think I'm gonna do it anytime soon because I don't have every single model for every system that I have, and the models that are released have to be from 2000 to 2015. That's when they have to be released by. So for the 3DS, I won't be able to involve the 2DS XL. If anything that is the 2DS, I'll only be able to involve the original. But that's all I have anyway. But I'm not sure if I'll be able to involve the original new 3DS because not a lot of people had that compared to the new 3DS XL. Because even my friend Chris actually had a 3DS XL, the new version, and actually he never had his hands on the original. I've never seen the original in person, and I've never heard of anybody that had the original new 3DS. But anyway, I've talked too much. Let's get right to the video.
So, the seventh generation of video game consoles has to be my favorite generation of gaming.
It sure is.
And I must say, I want to involve the 3DS since it was released during the generation.
About that, the 3DS was released 5 years later after these consoles in 2011. I'll give you the release dates of the consoles. PS3 was in 2006. Xbox 360 was released in 2005. Both of them in November. The DS was released in November 2004, so it's the oldest of the 5. The Wii was released in November 2006. And by the way, these are the American release dates, even though some consoles did release in the same month, but just not the same day. Like, for example, with the PlayStation 3. In Japan, it released on November 11th, and in America, it released on November 17th. But in Europe, it didn't release until March 2007. With the Xbox 360, North America only had it released in November of 2005, where in the other regions it was in December of 2005. The DS came out 1 year later in Japan, or 1 month later in Japan in December 2004, where in the other regions it released in March 2005, like where the PSP was released in America. Because it actually had its Japanese release first, but I'm not involving the PSP here, since I forget it pretty easily. Not that I want to, but I don't know too much about the PSP. But with the Wii, it also released in December of its launch year. For the 3DS, it released in 2011, which is 5 years after pretty much 5 years after these consoles. But it released in Japan first in February, and then in Europe and the United States, it released in March 2011.
But we're doing some speed tests and just tests overall of the consoles to see how long they take and how much they're capable of.
Test number 1, starting up to main menu.
Okay, so first we are doing a startup test to see how long it can take for each console to get to the main menu. The first to get to its menu was the 3DS, and then that was followed by...
And I tried to get the times to be accurate as best as I could. I edited this with Microsoft Clipchamp, so I think I used that, and I tried to make sure everything was correct on time.
The Wii, which was followed by the DS, which was then followed by the Xbox 360. And then, after a while, we have the PlayStation 3.
If you're asking what this is iced tea that I'm drinking right now.
We're starting out by checking out the menu for the PlayStation. And we have Friends, PlayStation Network, Game, TV video services, video, music.
In case you're wondering, that's a voiceover voice. It's not a voice when I was recording this video clip.
Photos, settings,
and
users.
And the same, I think, applies for when
Next,
I
we're
talk about
checking
the
out
other
the
consoles
Xbox 360
for
menu, which is similar to the PlayStation 3, where we have home, social, games, movies and TV, apps and settings. On the DS menu, it's a little bit different. So we have a clock and calendar on the top screen.
I honestly think the DS actually has a pretty cool menu setup where it has the idea of the top screen just showing the date and time.
And then on the bottom
I honestly
screen,
think that's pretty cool because I've never seen that with any other console. But with the DSi, the entire menu was changed and we have music that is very similar to the upcoming 3DS. And with the DSi, we have almost every application that would be in the 3DS. But except it removes GBA compatibility, but has a better improved menu and has an SD card slot.
We have the DS game, the backward compatible GBA game,
and you could load music
and DS download play, and settings. Next, we have the Wii menu that has a.
Now the reason you might be asking, why am I using the DS Lite, where if every other console I'm using their original model, even though I actually have my original DS right here. Well, to some people, this model did not sell very well compared to the others. So like some people act as if even Nintendo, when the DSi came out and the DSi XL, they tried to pretend that the original DS doesn't exist, especially since the screen on here is pretty bad compared to the others. Not in my opinion, though. I can see it just perfectly fine. But, yeah.
Bunch of channels, such as the disc.
And also the DS, the original DS is kind of bulky. Definitely feels like an ancient 2000s piece of technology, which it is. But, it's definitely pretty bulky, kind of like an older computer, or like my CRT TV, which is really heavy.
Channel, the Me channel.
But yes, the original DS is definitely not heavy, especially with it being a handheld.
The Photo channel, the Wii Shop channel with that cool music. The Forecast channel and the News channel.
And by the way, this goes back to my community post from another day. Did you guys enjoy playing downloaded games from these consoles, even though for the Wii and DS, their disc games weren't available digitally? But for the 3DS, games were available digitally, and so with the PS3 and 360. But with the DSi, there were specific DSiWare games that were downloadable from its shop. And the Wii had WiiWare and Virtual Console games. Surprisingly, we didn't get the Virtual Console on the DS, but that's one of the cool things about the Wii is it had so many Virtual Console games that you could buy from the NES, Super NES, and the N64. You could get all of those games, which I think are cooler to play on the Wii than to get them physically, especially since back at the time, even though the shop is closed, back at the time, they were around like $5 to $10 games. Particularly the NES games were about 500 Wii points. The Super NES games were either 1,000 or 800, and the N64 were normally 1,000. And you could buy Wii points with your credit card and stuff like that. That's how you'd add Wii points to your console. And that's how Nintendo would get their money from the Virtual Console service.
And those are all the pre-installed channels on.
And you could also, the Wii Shop channel wasn't just used for those games, it was also used to install extra channels, such as streaming services, but also you could download the internet channel, the Check Me Out channel, all those other channels, and you could add streaming channels such as Amazon Video Plus, oh no, that isn't what it's called, Amazon Instant Video it was called then, Netflix, and YouTube.
The Wii.
There's actually so
now
much
we
to
have
these
the
consoles
3DS,
that I
which
really
I like
enjoy.
to think of it as a portable Wii, since it does receive a lot of things from the Wii, except it has music that sounds like the DSi menu music, which I don't have a DSi here, but we have a lot of pre-installed apps.
Test 2, starting up again. I was getting too lazy to do the rest of the voices myself, to be doing voiceover, so I just decided to add background music here and just do everything else. So for this game test, I chose one of my favorite games on the system. There's a few of them that I'm definitely not sure of exactly what my favorite game is. And hey, you could see my 3DS left on over here. But I will say on my splitter, the consoles were still on, but I would change the output, or the input rather, or whatever. I would just have them changed, but I would leave the consoles on. But for the 3DS, I'm gonna say that Mario Kart 7 is no longer my favorite 3DS game. It's probably Cars 2 at this point, because I really do enjoy Cars 2, and it's my favorite movie. I do like it better than the first movie, which some of you might be shocked by that, considering many Cars fans like the first movie better than anything in the trilogy. But I actually also ordered a Cars 2 poster, the video game poster, recently. I don't know when it's coming, but I'll share it to the community post when I get it. And at some point, I don't know when, I'm hoping to get the PS3, 360, DS, Wii, and 3DS port. Or, not 3DS. I already have the 3DS ports, but the other ports, you know. But that's the game that the test game that I'm gonna be using for when I make that documentary video on PS3, 360, DS, Wii, and 3DS. Yeah, as you can see, I don't have the network adapter for my Xbox 360, so I don't know when I will order it, especially since I also want to check out the shop before July, since it's closing in exactly 4 months, on July 29th of this year. And also on April 8th, which that's actually 10 years now from the Windows XP end of support. It's also the day that something else ends. It's when the 3DS and Wii U online shutdown. And also, in school, that's actually when my third marking period is done. So, April 8th is definitely a death day this year. And also, I must say, even back then and today, the weather is really warm out, so I suggest take the time to go outside. I might do it later today. So as you see, I don't have exactly what I said earlier. The menu aspect of the PlayStation 3. There's just a ton of things I enjoy about the PlayStation 3, especially with it having multiple features such as multimedia, maybe not multimedia, but the ability to watch TV media, watch DVDs, and watch TV shows and movies through streaming services and YouTube videos. And you could also add photos and videos and music to it. They actually went all out for the PlayStation 3, and that's what made that model really appealing to me. And also, that's exactly like when they went all out with the original model of the 3DS. They went all out with it, and that's why I really enjoy it over the other models. But with the PS3 Slim and other models, you get pretty much everything else that is baked into the PlayStation 3, such as all the other things that I just said about it, other than the fact that only very few of the original models were backward compatible with the PlayStation 2. But I would suggest just get a separate PS2 and separate PlayStation 3 if you want the fat PS3 and you don't want to spend a lot of money. Because I can guarantee you, even back then, those first-gen consoles costed a lot. Even back then, they probably cost way more now, especially if you find them in really good condition. And the annoying thing about the DS is the fact that if you want to start a game and your system's already on, you have to turn it off and then turn it on for it to realize the game, unlike with the DSi. So there were a lot of changes with the DSi, and also the menu was less pixelated compared to the original DS. The graphics of the games are still the same. Nothing's really changed in terms of the graphics in the games, but yeah. Alright, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more videos in the future. I hope to be doing more videos on those my 5 favorite consoles. And let me know, did you enjoy playing on them back then? Especially playing on their online services, which some of them, such as PSN, Xbox Live, and Nintendo Network, are still up and running. Not so much Nintendo Network, since it's closing in about a week, 2 weeks. But so probably play on Nintendo Network right now, because this is around your last chance of being able to do so, since it's closing in April. And 10 years ago in May is when the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection discontinued for the Wii and DS. But just, if you want to play Nintendo Network online with your 3DS or Wii U, do it now, because you only have a few more days to do so. But anyway, stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, leave some comments, hit the notification button, and I will see you guys later.